Libra, my beautiful seeker of balance and truth. What if I told you that this is the week everything starts to shift in your favor? Not someday. Not when you've finally figured everything out. But now. The energy of your luckiest week of the year has already been activated, and what's coming between December 20th and 26th isn't just fortunites, a spiritual jackpot tailored for your soul's timing. You didn't arrive here by chance. There's a reason you were drawn to this space in this very moment. Something within you, your intuition, your soul's inner compass, knew to pause, to listen, to receive. And maybe you don't fully understand why just yet. But let me assure you, when your inner world aligns with divine timing, the outer world begins to open up in ways you never thought possible. So I'll ask you this: what part of you has been quietly whispering for change? What dream has been lingering just on the edge of your awareness, waiting to be called forth? Because Libra, this week is not about striving harder or proving your worth. It's about opening to receive what's already yours. The universe has been rearranging things behind the scenes, not to test you but to prepare you. And now, finally, the energetic conditions are right. Not just for breakthroughs in money or relationships, but for something deeper, a return to your center, your clarity, your spiritual inheritance. I invite you to take a moment right now, before we go any further, to acknowledge this moment as sacred. You're not late. You're not lost. You're exactly where you need to be. If something within you resonates already, whether it's a subtle tingle or a loud inner yes, go ahead and comment below with a number you've been seeing lately, or a word that captures what you're stepping into. This isn't just engagement. It's alignment. Declare it. Ground it. Speak it into motion. And if you're wondering whether staying for the rest of this message is worth your time, let me be clear: you will want to stay with me until the very end of this reading. What the universe is about to reveal is too specific, too personal, and too timely for you to miss. I'll walk with you through the deeper meanings behind this week's astrological transits, the tarot spread that confirms it, and the quiet spiritual patterns that are finally beginning to surface. Before we go deeper, allow me to express my heartfelt gratitude for your presence. Every like, every comment, every moment of your energy here is a ripple in something much greater. Thank you for being part of this sacred space. Your presence allows Zodiac Whisper Tarot to continue sharing messages that don't just entertain but awaken, soften, and empower. So, my loyal Libras, tell me, what have you done consciously or unconsciously that magnetized this message to you today? What prayer, what cry, what act of quiet faith led you here? Stay with me. Breathe. Open. Because what the divine is about to show you might just change everything. There are moments in the sky that do more than shift stars, they stir something sacred within us. And this week, Libra, the heavens are softly singing a song written just for you. When Venus, your ruling planet, forms a harmonious trine with Neptune, we're not just talking about planetary alignment, we're talking about an energetic portal opening through your heart. This is a time when love is no longer a transaction but a transmission, when inspiration doesn't require effort but simply permission. Venus and Neptune together speak the language of divine creativity and soul-level compassion, awakening something ancient and beautiful within your emotional body. It's no coincidence that as this alignment peaks, the moon itself will pass through your sign on December 21st and 22nd. This lunar visitation isn't just symbolic, it's visceral. You might find yourself feeling more than usual, tears rising without a name, memories surfacing like whispers, or even laughter bursting from places long locked away. Don't be afraid of that intensity. The moon doesn't come to disrupt your balance, it comes to show you that true balance means allowing what wants to move, to move. These sensations aren't signs of weakness, they're signs of release. And in that release, you're clearing space for something far more powerful to enter. Your heart chakra, your energetic center for empathy, grace, forgiveness is being gently activated. Think of it like an ancient well being unsealed, its waters ready to flow again. In astrology, the moon governs not just emotion, but memory, intuition, the deep feminine, and cycles of return. As she dances through Libra, she reminds you that it's okay to feel deeply, even if you don't fully understand why. You don't have to analyze it. You just have to honor it. And then, quietly, you begin to see number sun clocks, receipts, random license plates, 6, 11, 22. Each one carrying a frequency. Each one a signal. In numerology, 6 is the number of peace, family, healing, and sacred responsibility. It calls you back to your relationships, not to manage them, but to soften them. To forgive, or be forgiven. To repair what doesn't need to be perfect, just honest. 11, a master number, is the whisper of the unseen. It opens your third eye, gently encouraging you to trust what doesn't yet make sense. It tells you that your intuition isn't just a feeling, it's a frequency, and when you listen, it will guide you better than any external noise ever could. And 22? That's the architect of spirit. The master builder. When 22 appears repeatedly, it's not a warning, it's a confirmation. That what you're working on now, whether it's emotional growth, healing old narratives, or choosing love over fear, is building something long-lasting. Something eternal. You're not just dreaming of change, you're laying the bricks for it, one decision, one surrendered moment at a time. In the quiet pauses between all this movement, you may notice a subtle pull not to figure everything out, but to let it unfold. That's the point. This isn't a week to force clarity. It's a week to let clarity find you. Let it arrive slowly, like dawn slipping across a cold window. The most important insights don't always scream, they often whisper. And it's in those whispers that your real power is reborn. No one expects you to have all the answers. This isn't about being certain. It's about being present. When you pause, when you breathe, when you allow grace to enter your story, that's where the miracle happens. Not in the control, but in the surrender. That's how doors open. That's how peace returns. That's how you remember who you've always been. Sometimes life doesn't ask you to fight harder, it asks you to trust deeper. As we move into the heart of this reading, Libra, the cards laid before you are not just symbolic, they are deeply personal invitations. Justice, your signature card, leads the way not simply as a concept, but as an energy that is now rising to meet you. When this card appears in your own reading, it's not about punishment or reward in the traditional sense. It's about realignment. About divine timing finally catching up to your efforts. About the quiet, invisible work you've done behind the scenes, those moments you chose grace over retaliation, compassion over closure, now echoing back to you as something sacred and earned. This return of balance might not be loud, but it will be meaningful. You may not see an apology you waited for, but you'll feel the peace that no longer needs it. You may not get back what was taken, but you'll receive something far more valuable, the unshakable awareness that what's meant for you cannot be stolen. This is the week you get to release the tight grip you've had on justice being delivered in the way you imagined, and instead let it arrive in the way your soul actually needs. Because often, the most powerful form of justice is peace. And when peace enters, healing follows. That's the presence of temperance here. This card doesn't rush, doesn't demand. It sits beside you, gently reminding you that healing doesn't require your perfection, it only needs your participation. You don't have to fix everything today. You're not falling behind. You're moving at the exact speed your nervous system, your heart, and your soul can safely handle. Temperance asks you to stop measuring your progress by how quickly things are resolved, and instead notice how much more calmly you now face what used to break you. That's real progress. Then comes the Ace of Cups, a tender, sacred offering. This isn't the loud kind of love, but the kind that shows up quietly, asking, "Are you ready to feel again?" It could be a new romantic connection, yes. But it could also be the return of softness toward yourself, a letter you write but never send, or a quiet acceptance of something you've outgrown. Either way, it's a beginning. And you deserve new beginnings that don't require you to erase who you've been in order to step into who you're becoming. The moon rises next, casting mystery and shadow, not to confuse you, but to invite you deeper. Not everything will make sense right away. That's okay. The moon shows you how to navigate without knowing. It encourages you to feel your way through, like a traveler walking through fog. And sometimes, the clarity you're looking for doesn't come from more thinking, it comes from stillness. From letting your questions breathe before forcing them into answers. From learning to rest in the not knowing until it becomes knowing on its own. Then comes the Queen of Swords. She's not cold, but she's clear. She doesn't perform her truth for applause. She speaks it because it's clean, because it frees her. This is your invitation to release the need to be understood by everyone and start standing firm in your own clarity. It's not your job to shrink or bend to fit someone else's comfort. It's your job to own your truth with quiet strength and let that be enough. And finally, the Knight of Cups arrives not as a savior, but as a mirror. This energy represents someone, or something, that meets you on an emotional level without trying to change or fix you. It may be a romantic presence, a healing friendship, or even a creative project that allows your soul to exhale. Whatever form it takes, this energy enters gently. It doesn't demand. It invites. And the only thing you need to do is allow it. When God moves in our lives, it's often not through lightning bolts, but through the soft things, an unexpected message, a safe conversation, the return of inner stillness. These are the miracles that don't always make headlines, but they change us from the inside out. And this week, Libra, those are the very miracles being prepared for you. Let them in. Let them stay. Let them rebuild something inside you that no longer wants to live in fear. There are times in life when the harvest doesn't arrive with fireworks but with quiet, sacred confirmation that the seeds you've planted in faith are finally beginning to bloom. Libra, this week feels like one of those moments. Not because everything suddenly becomes perfect, but because you've become deeply aligned with the energy that allows abundance, clarity, and love to find you without resistance. That's the real jackpot. It's not just about receiving more, it's about no longer chasing what you were always meant to hold. When we talk about a jackpot, in spiritual terms, we're not talking about luck or a random windfall. We're talking about a shift in frequency, a quiet realignment where life begins to respond to the version of you who has stopped performing and started embodying. You've carried yourself through confusion, through disappointment, through long seasons of not knowing. And still, you've chosen grace. You've chosen to keep showing up. And because of that, the universe is now responding with movement. With clarity. With open doors that once felt sealed. This week carries the kind of energy that makes breakthroughs possible not just financially, but emotionally, creatively, relationally. Yes, the form might be a financial opportunity, a legal decision falling in your favor, or even the sudden return of a creative dream you once let go of. But deeper than the surface, it's about your relationship with receiving. About how safe you finally feel to open your hands and say, "I'm ready." And maybe for the first time, you don't feel like you have to hustle for it. Maybe you don't feel like you have to fix yourself, prove yourself, or earn someone's approval just to be allowed to feel secure, loved, or inspired. That's jackpot energy. That's when you know something has shifted not outside of you, but inside. You're no longer begging life to love you. You're quietly welcoming the love that already exists all around you. In this season of quiet return, some of you may experience support that feels divinely timed. An unexpected financial gift, a job offer, a new creative collaboration, or the resolution of a long-standing legal or emotional conflict. And others may receive something even more intimate, a moment of release, a deep breath you didn't know you were holding, a softness in a relationship that once felt hard. The outer events are beautiful, yes, but the real miracle is how your heart begins to relax. This is also a beautiful time to remember that abundance doesn't only show up in our bank accounts. It shows up in how free we feel to express ourselves, how supported we feel in our relationships, and how often we let joy visit us without guilt. For some, the jackpot will be external. For others, it will be an inner expansion that changes how they move through the world. Either way, it's all real. It's all valid. It's all worthy of celebration. If you're someone who prays, reflect for a moment on how often the answers don't arrive as thunder but as gentle shifts, a phone call at the right time, a moment of clarity that helps you finally let go, or a person entering your life with the softness you didn't know you needed. These aren't accidents. They're responses. And if you're someone who's been carrying quiet faith without seeing results for a while, let this be a reminder. Faith is not always about waiting for proof, it's about living as if the proof is already forming. So allow yourself to notice what's flowing your way this week, without trying to control how it looks. The jackpot may arrive dressed in simplicity. A new rhythm, a new relationship to rest, a deeper trust in your own timing. These are not consolation prizes, they are sacred upgrades. Let them in. Let them nourish you. Let them remind you that you are not just hoping anymore, you are receiving. Some weeks are meant for breakthroughs, but others are designed for preparation, the kind that happens quietly, in small, sacred steps that only your heart can fully measure. Libra, this is that kind of week. After everything you've just received, everything that's rising to meet you in this jackpot window, now is the time to become available to it, not just energetically, but through gentle, mindful practice. It's not about doing more. It's about softening into the awareness that you are already enough, and from that space, choosing small actions that remind your body and spirit to trust what's unfolding. There is something incredibly healing about the simplicity of writing things down at the end of the day. When you take a pen and ask yourself, what am I still carrying that no longer belongs to me? You begin a quiet unraveling. You give the unconscious a place to speak. And in doing so, you begin to clear energetic clutter that has been standing between you and the blessings already circling your life. Let this practice be soft. No pressure to solve anything. Just honesty. Just space. Just letting your truth meet the page without judgment. Alongside that, let the morning greet you with intention. Not a to-do list, not urgency, but a quiet, internal whisper that says, I am ready. Place your hand on your heart before the noise of the world begins, and affirm, gently and clearly, that you are worthy of love, provision, and healing. Not someday. Today. These words are not empty, they are declarations of alignment. When you speak them from a place of faith, even before the external reality has caught up, you are anchoring into a frequency that magnetizes more of what you're affirming. That's how energy works. That's how manifestation begins. Creativity, too, becomes a form of devotion this week. You don't need to be an artist to participate in this energy. You only need to be willing to engage in something that brings you back to presence. Maybe it's lighting a candle with care. Rearranging a corner of your room. Writing a note to your future self. Picking out colors that reflect how you want to feel today. These aren't chores. They are portals, moments when you pause long enough to say, I matter. My space matters. How I feel matters. And from that space, your energy begins to realign. In seasons like this, one of the most powerful things you can do is simply slow down enough to hear the quiet truth you've been too busy to notice. We live in a world that measures worth by productivity, but the soul doesn't respond to pressure, it responds to presence. It responds to stillness. And that's why these small practices are not just rituals, they are acts of faith. Every time you choose mindfulness over rush, self-acceptance over judgment, or intention over autopilot, you're declaring that you believe in what's coming. Even if it hasn't arrived yet. Sometimes, God answers not with immediate changes, but with the grace to keep going one more day. One more breath. One more moment of clarity. And in those small moments, miracles begin to form quietly, subtly, but powerfully. If you've been waiting for something to shift, allow yourself to shift first. Not with force, but with gentleness. That is how faith becomes reality. So this week, let your routines become sacred. Let your words become blessings. And let your quiet choices be the way you say to the universe, I am ready. Not because you've figured it all out, but because your heart finally knows it doesn't have to fight to receive. It only has to open. Even as life begins to open new doors and offer unexpected blessings, Libra, there's value in returning to the simple ground of your day-to-day experiences: love, money, work, and health. These aren't separate from your spiritual path. They are where your spirit is most often tested, shaped, and ultimately revealed. The energy this week invites you not only to receive what's coming, but to become more conscious in how you show up in each space. Clarity isn't just arriving through mystical signs and soul awakenings, it's showing up through conversations, contracts, choices, and how you treat your body when no one's watching. In love, if you're single, there's a distinct softening in your field. You might feel someone new moving into your energetic space, even before they physically appear. This doesn't mean you have to chase or force anything, it means your heart is finally in a state where it can be met. Keep tending to it gently. If you're already in a relationship, this is a powerful window to speak truthfully but kindly. Real peace doesn't come from pretending everything is fine. It comes from sharing what's real with grace. You don't have to carry everything alone. And you don't need to fix what you can't. Just show up with honesty, and let love do the healing from there. Financially, the stars are aligning in your favor, but you're being asked to move with both intuition and patience. A legal update, a salary adjustment, or unexpected support could arrive, especially if you've been navigating something that felt stalled. Still, don't rush into decisions out of urgency. The right opportunities will wait for you to feel aligned. Let your gut, not your fear, be your guide. You've grown wiser with your resources, and now is the time to act from that inner wisdom rather than from scarcity. When it comes to work, something interesting is surfacing. You may receive a chance to return to a past opportunity, but this time, you're different. You've outgrown the version of you that once accepted less than you deserved. If the opportunity doesn't respect your energy or your evolution, you're allowed to say no. On the other hand, if it aligns with your values, your creativity, and your soul's desire for impact, you may be surprised at how right it feels now. For new projects, don't act out of pressure. Let your inspiration, your sense of purpose, be louder than the external noise. And finally, your body, your sacred home, is asking for more gentleness. Stress doesn't always show up in dramatic ways. Sometimes it's just a tightening in the chest, a tendency to overthink, or that subtle feeling of being on edge. This week, give yourself permission to reset through small, meaningful practices. A 5-minute walk without your phone. A quiet journal entry where you don't edit your feelings. A cup of herbal tea sipped slowly, just for you. Avoid caffeine overload, especially if your nervous system has been on high alert. Choose hydration, calming food, and sleep as non-negotiables, not luxuries. These parts of your life may seem separate, but they're woven together by the same thread: your willingness to meet yourself with honesty and care. You don't have to master everything at once. This is about returning to presence, one decision at a time. Even the most divine miracles unfold through very human moments. A conversation. A message. A gut feeling that says, wait, or go. And when you honor those small nudges, you begin to live from the same place where blessings are born, not from control, but from alignment. Not from fear, but from quiet, grounded trust. Libra, if you've stayed with me this far, I want to gently remind you of something that your soul may already know, but your mind may have forgotten. Nothing that is truly meant for you will require you to fight for your worth. The miracles on their way to you now are not coming because you begged or hustled for them. They're coming because you've quietly done the inner work. Because you've shown up in grace, in honesty, in faith even when no one else saw it. And now, the universe sees you. Fully. Clearly. Lovingly. You don't have to be more perfect, more polished, or more productive to receive what's meant for you. You only have to be present. Present to your truth. Present to your heart. Present to the quiet knowing that you are already enough. Can you feel the shift in your body when you let go of trying to earn love, money, peace, and simply open yourself to allow it? That is what this week is asking of you. to allow, to soften, to trust. This is the kind of transformation that doesn't always come with a loud breakthrough. Sometimes it's a gentle permission, a new breath, a moment of stillness where you finally hear your own voice again. Maybe that's the jackpot. Not something that lands with fireworks, but something that returns you to yourself with quiet power. So I want to ask you, with all the love in my heart, what's one thing you can release this week that no longer belongs in your energy field? What would change if you chose rest over proving? What would shift if you allowed love to find you instead of trying to chase it down? I invite you to pause right now and reflect. What energy do you want to receive more of this week? Is it balance? Joy? Creativity? Financial flow? Emotional safety? Go ahead and comment below with one word that captures what you're stepping into. Or maybe you've been seeing sacred numbers like 6, 11, or 22. Share the number you've been noticing lately and what you feel it means for you. You never know, your words may be exactly what another Libra soul needed to read today. This space, Zodiac Whisper Tarot, exists not just to offer predictions but to help you remember your power, your peace, your ability to co-create with the divine energy that's always surrounding you. So if this message spoke to something deep within you, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell so you don't miss the next sacred download meant just for you. And finally, let me leave you with this gentle truth. The moment you choose to believe you are worthy, the jackpot will find you. Not because you forced it, but because you made space for it. This is your time, Libra. This is your week. And you are ready.